Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Life, Law, Bin. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have some very interesting content, as usual, coming your way. I am here with Miss Renea Aaron, and she is the founder of Millennial Chambers. Now, she's a fitness enthusiast and she really enjoys reading. She reads books like self help books, autobiographies. But interestingly, about Renee is that I found her on LinkedIn because I really, really enjoy the content that she disseminates, that she shares. And most of the time, the content is about probate and family law. And I think it's very helpful to the general public. So this is how I connected with Renee, and I've asked her to come on the channel today to discuss her journey into the law and also, and importantly, founding a chambers at such a young age. Now, before we even begin, Renee, I know that you have this social media presence and in terms of disseminating this pivotal information on Instagram as well and on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. Now, what prompted that?
Okay, well, I was indicated to you earlier on that when I started my practice, I live in this rural area in Trinidad and Tobago, Rio Claro. So my practice was basically based there, and I was like, I don't want the client that I served to only be within this area in Trinidad and Tobago. So one of my idea was to launch social media platforms. I made sure and researched the laws in relation to because I know we cannot advertise as an attorney. So I made sure that I wasn't breaching that rule. So what I had decided was to share information with the public as in relation to the area of law that I practice. So that is really how it came about. And I created my social media pages being Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and I started sharing information as in relation to the three practice areas that I mainly practice: family law, conveyancing, and probate. So I just basically share information on those areas, and that's kind of like how it started.
Well, Renee, you're doing a fantastic job. So I definitely think it's something that you should keep up with. And you're really consistent as well. Consistency is actually key. Yeah, in the social media world, because we tend to expect and look forward to your brilliant content. Now, we're going to start from the beginning of your journey. So, could you identify for us where you would have studied your LLB and just provide a brief overview of that experience?
Okay, so I did my LLB. I did 1 year at St. Augustine, and the other 2 years I did at Cavehill, Barbados. My experience was, well, for me, I didn't like the experience much at St. Augustine because, like, you think in university wise, you will be going to parties, well, staying on campus, but I live like a few minutes away from campus. So I used to just basically go to class and leave. So I used to barely interact with anyone, right? But then when with the switch to Barbados, I was now living in a whole other country, and well, I got to have friends from all different islands within the Caribbean. So I really enjoyed the cultural integration in Cape Hill.
Nice. And you're Trinidadian as well, right? So we have two West Indians on the channel today then. Could you also identify where you pursued law school and share your experience in terms of law school?
As in relation to law school, I did I was law school at Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago. My experience there was, how to say it, I didn't really like law school. I mean, it's not that it was difficult, it's that there was a lot of work. So you had to have good time management. So because when you get like one assignment and now completed, you have to go and do another assignment in another um, another course. So it used to be like bam, bam, bam. So you really get in no time. So I just find it was kind of, stressful, but I wouldn't say the work was hard. As long as you keep on top of your game, it was okay. But it's just that, like you have to be ready.
Definitely, that seems to be the consensus, right across the board for law school, because that's exactly how it is for me in the UK. I wouldn't say the work is, so challenging that you can't conceptualize or get it done correctly. It's just time management. Just as you said, it's rapid fire pace. You just submit an assignment and another one is due.
Yeah, you ain't got no time to breathe.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And everyone that I've met that speaks about their law school experience says, it was educational, they enjoyed it, but the truth is they'd never do it again. If they had an opportunity, they wouldn't want to go through it again.
Live at doing your LLB, and where you can like you can come around, you can party throughout the semester, and then at the end you can cram it. You can't do that for no school. You have to be on top of the game every step of the way.
It's true, yeah, and you have to stick with it as well, because otherwise I just think you're gonna fail. There's no coming back. There's no waiting till the end to do anything. Now, you pardon, sorry about that. I missed.
Have to push through.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. No, you managed to do something quite phenomenal at a young age, and you've managed to found your own chambers, and that's Millennial Chambers. But before we start talking about that specifically, could you describe the level of work experience you found that you had before founding the chambers?
I will say I didn't have any experience at all. Yeah. I previous to me starting my chambers, I worked at like during the summer vacation. I would work at like a government what they call it institution, just like as a legal intern, and it wasn't like you say you're doing anything as in relation to the law. You're doing copying and stuff like that, photocopying, and those stuff like real menial tasks. I had one experience at an actual law firm, but that was for our 10-week in-service training. So that was the only time I was really exposed to like going to court and stuff like that. But besides that, I didn't have any experience whatsoever before I started.
No, this means that you must be quite courageous and a brave soul, because generally the rule of thumb,
Yeah.
if I can call it that, because I do have some kind of fond love for people that forge their own paths, and that's exactly what you have done here. Generally, though, people usually try to find work experience. That's what's advised, that's what's recommended. But you decided, obviously, well, I'm going to start this. So at that point, when you found that you had limited work experience, what prompted you to found Millennial Chambers?
Okay, so as you had stated that the normal part is to work with experienced attorneys, work with a firm or something. That was initially my plan, was to work with someone, and I've always wanted to start my own firm. I didn't think it would have been so early in my career. So I had initially planned on, working maybe 4 to 5 years, and then, maybe leave it, get some experience, and then leave and start my own firm. But that didn't go as planned. I tried it, well, last weekend was the first time I actually spoke publicly about this, but during the interview process, I think that was before I was called. I applied to a few positions, and I had a few interviews. So you know how the interview process goes. You go, you do the you do the interview, and they either don't call you back, or they call you back and tell you, well, the position has been given to someone else. My last interview, the experience that I have was really horrible for me, right? So I had an interview with an attorney. He owned his firm he owned his firm. So I went in, and he was really condescending to me. Like, he will ask me questions, and while I am trying to answer the question, he will interrupt me, and, well, in a condescending tone. So I I had told him because I realized like we're not going anywhere with this, this interview. So me, and that was like the first time I actually stood up for myself and like I knew my worth. It's like I'm not really begging you for a job. You understand? So I told him I was like, let me know if both of us are wasting each other's time. You understand? So that's really bold to say in an interview. So I told him that, and then I can't remember what exactly, like he was stunned that, that this person will come into the interview and say that, but you can't be wasting my time, right? You can't be asking me question and not allowing me to answer. So I said that to him, and then after I told him, I stood up and I told him, thank you for the interview, and I left, right? So when I got back to the car, um, I was like, I don't know, I was like in a mood. I was in a mood. I was like, I believe I cried. I'm not too sure if I cried. I can't remember. I kind of blanked it out. And I was like, I am going to start my own law firm. I'm not going through this again. I'm like, I'm not going through it. So from there, after I got home, I started to do my research and stuff on how to get it started. I don't think I was called as yet. I believe it was before I was called. So from that, I was like, I'm not going to apply for no more jobs. I'm going to start my own firm. And I was adamant about it. And I started to do my research and started to plan on how it is I will go about doing it. So that was my experience.
Well, a powerful narrative indeed, Renee, because I think what it was for you is that you recognize that the interview process might not always be as glorious as one may make it seem. The truth is, people always forget that when you are being interviewed for a job, remember someone told me you are also looking to see if the chambers fits you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it is not only, I remember it's a situation where it's not only a one-way interview, it's two-way. You need to make sure that this is someone that you can work with. And if it's not, I just think that you're just starting on the wrong foot, because it's not just simply a job, you're still a team. So I think that that kind of experience seemed to be the catalyst for you in terms of sparking the foundation of your chambers.
Yeah.
So
And you also asked, like, I was really brave. I was just like, there's no other way for me. I'm not going through this again. So this have to happen and it have to work out. So that was kind of like how it is my motivation behind it. That kind of drove me to make sure that whatever I do it with excellence. Because I don't want to be back out on the job market looking for job, having this type of experience.
it's true. And it's not only that, what also to me drove you to this point of success in terms of founding the chamber successfully is that not only were you motivated, but it's the fact that you weren't comfortable. I'm sure it's not a situation where you were saying it's fine, I don't need to work. Like I will be able to survive anyway and keep up a certain lifestyle without a paycheck. It's the fact that this needs to happen. This needs to work,
Exactly.
you know?
To have my degree settled, and it's because somebody don't want to offer me a job. I believe it's Tyler Perry that said this that if it is they don't want to give you a seat at the table, you build your own table. So like I've been using that as a driving force. You understand? So if there's no opportunity for you, create your own,
I
basically.
Yep, I love that. I love it. And the fact too that we're in this pandemic as well, I find that this is a key turning point in people's lives, because generally, we as law students, we look for experience, we look for opportunities, and sometimes you need to start doing stuff on your own because some of the chambers don't have the capacity. Some do in terms of to offer you some kind of online work experience, but others don't. So Life Law BIM was born in the pandemic last year. You need to, yeah, you need to start thinking outside the box. It's creativity, But I really do like that quote that you just used from Tyler Perry. Um, it's your story is actually quite powerful because I think we are programmed to think that is only one route that we can all take. And if we don't follow through with this particular route, we are unsuccessful and we are failures because who are you to go and start a chambers on your own with limited experience? That's the kind of mindset that that we unfortunately have.
It's true. It's true. I don't know. I will, I don't feel any way against this attorney because of the experience I had with him, I was able to, find my confidence in myself and, be able to go forward and do what I had to do. You understand? And forge my own path.
Yeah, so
So
he was in your life for a purpose and a great purpose.
yeah.
And lots of respect to him as well for that. Now, in terms of the practicalities of the chambers, because people are probably wondering by now, what did the setup process of the chambers entail? Did you have to seek a loan?
Okay, so um as I said, when I started to plan, it was before I got called. So I got called in November 23rd, 2018, and that was a Friday. So the following week, I was already at legal affairs to register my business. I was like really proactive. I was like, I'm getting this thing started. My plan was I get called on Friday, I'm out in practice on Monday, but it didn't go as planned. So Um, right. So first, I had to have the business registered. I had to come up with a name actually. So I was like, what name I'm gonna go with? And because it was just a short period of time for me to decide. I was like, okay, I'll go with my name, Renea Aaron, and Associates Attorney at Law. It was really really long, but I registered it as that. But when it is, I did the rebranding. I came up. Well, I had time to like think of a proper name, so that's when I came up with Millennial Chambers. That was around during the pandemic. I was doing the rebranding, so that's when I came up with Millennial Chambers. But initially, it was my name and associates. I think that long. It was really really long, right? So yeah. So I had to seek a loan, which was like really difficult because I now graduate from law school. I don't really have a savings. Um, I don't really have a savings, and then so I don't really have persons to stand security for me. So it was really difficult. I didn't get a loan initially, but what I what I did is I got a small loan from a family member just to start because I just needed to pay my rent and pay my student loan for the first month that I was supposed to start back to repay it. So I was like, as long as I can get that money, I'm fine. I was like, it will work out from there. So I just had the fear that, it's just for me to step out and everything will flow from there. So that's how it was to be. I eventually got a really small loan, a small business loan. And yeah, so that was basically the start off for me with my practice. I started off with my laptop that I worked with in law school, a printer, a desk from home, and 4 chairs. So that's how it was for me when I started. It was nothing extravagant at all.
Well, you don't need extravagance to get the job done. So, I mean, I'm glad to hear you said you picked up a table from home and carried it in.
Yeah, and thank God the space that I was renting was really small because the desk was really small. So, it didn't look, that shabby.
No.
Yeah, so my initial thought when I started was like, will people hire me? Like, the thing, what I was thinking is, will they ask how long I've been in practice, how long I've been a lawyer, what school I graduated from, what type of, like they would be so hung up on those things. And to tell you the honest truth, when I started, I never got any questions like that. All they wanted to know is they have this issue and if I can solve it. I'm an attorney, and if it is, I can solve it.
Yeah, technically, I find that's what clients generally want to know. I have a problem. I'm coming to you because I have a problem. Can you solve this problem? You know? That's generally the question. So after that, did you find that you had to? I know you said you registered the business. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, what's the legal form of the business? Is it sole trader partnership?
It's a
It's a sole trader. And did you find that as you progressed, you needed assistance in terms of financially from mentors or from institutions or family members?
As in relation to mentor, it had this one particular attorney that practiced in my area. He's been practicing here for approximately 10 years. So when I had started, I used to liaise with him as in relation to when I get a new case. Um, but I would say yes, he was sort of a mentor, but no also because before I actually go to him to ask him a question, I would do my research on the case or the issue. So when I'm going to him is just to confirm what I have already researched. Because in my thinking, I was like, I don't want people to say, she gone out on her own and she don't know anything. So when I'm coming to you, I already know the answer. I just really want confirmation.
Yeah.
So that was my thought process behind it as in relation to sort of having a mentor. But like where I practice, I like to tell you the honest truth, I was kind of like afraid and I was kind of fearful of reaching out to other persons because other attorneys like to get help because in my mind I'm thinking they will be like, she's so young, why is she doing this? You understand? She could always work for someone. But they don't know, my experience and why it is I decided that. So I just didn't want to be like a burden on anyone. So even if it is I'm coming to ask you for guidance on something, I already did my research. So it's really, I'm just coming to you with a confirmation that this is actually how it is practiced.
Yeah, of course. And because people always forget too that as much as you're a young attorney, there's always some kind of guidance that is
Yeah,
still, even senior attorneys with that are looking into something kind of new, a new case, they will also ask someone else. And I think that's the whole beauty of building up the fraternity, because we should be able to lean on each other and ask a couple questions, you know? And
yeah.
generally the profession attracts hard working, ambitious people. So I don't see asking a question as an issue. It's not like someone is bringing their whole case saying, solve this for me.
Sometimes when I ask this other attorney, do you know of this type of matter? Like sometimes it never came across to him. So when it is I learn about it, I can share it with him. You understand? Because he haven't come across it. This is the first time he hearing about it. And then, my experience with it, I can let you know, well, hey, this is how it's done. You understand? So
Yeah, of course. Now, do you remember the feelings you had when you received your first case, first client walked through the door?
I was happy. I was really happy. As I said earlier, my initial thought is that when someone comes to me, they will want to question like where I went to law school, how my grades was, or like how long I've been in practice, how much experience I have in this particular matter. But as I said, it was all they want to know is I have this issue and can you help me with it? But yeah, I was really excited to actually start to work. So like my first case, pick up I'll be ground running.
Good. That's good. The excitement is definitely always key and always a driving factor. Do you remember the nature of the case? Was it something that you were extremely familiar with, or was it something you liked, but you also did some further research as well?
Yeah, it was actually a probate matter. So he came to do letters of administration for his dad that passed away. So it's something that I was familiar with because we did that in law school. Like, it was one of the things that we actually did and we had to draft in law school. So it was relatively simple.
Good. So that means you were comfortable, you were confident, and you were able to execute flawlessly. Yeah. So, what areas of practice do you specialize in?
So, well, the practice is basically, well, I do general practice, but now I'm trying to narrow it down and I specialize in family law, probate, and conveyancing. So those are the three main practice areas that I focus on.
And what skills do you think are necessary to practice in these areas for, for students that are interested?
Yeah, I would definitely say, is this even a skill? Being empathetic, a person, because say in probate matters is where persons, their family member has passed away, or in family matter where there's issues in the family dynamic. You definitely have to be empathetic to these persons. I wouldn't even, I don't know if it will be categorized as a skill, but it's something that you need to develop. But I'll say drafting is really important here, because drafting like a divorce, you have to, know the rules as in relation to that and what needs to be drafted in order to put forward a case. In letters of administration, drafting is important as well because, did I say letters of administration? I mean probate in general need to draft as well in order to, whoever application you're making, make sure the information that you're providing is correct. So I would definitely say drafting. Um, um,
I feel like I know we don't want to downplay that the skill because I still see it as a skill or something you have to develop. That whole notion of empathy because you
yeah,
have to be insensitive when you're dealing with people.
so you don't know. Like some people, they come to you with issues and they're computer system. They also have to, sensitive towards, what they are going through. So that's why that's the first thing I said. Is these are like critical points in the person's life. Um, yeah.
Because unfortunately it's a time where they have to see you where they rather would not want to see you.
You don't have an option. So yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely have to empathize, and I could understand why you'd say drafting as well. So, what advice would you give to students who are interested in these areas of practice?
Complex. One thing I will tell them is that um, just to develop their skills, that the necessary skills as an attorney, and understand trying to hone their skills at this particular point in time is really necessary when you come out here, right? To be able to represent these clients, you need to what's the word? What you learn in law school is is really different when you comes out in the practicing world. It's totally different. So you be able to be versatile when it comes to whichever matter that you might someone might come to you to represent them in. So definitely try to hone whatever skills that they are teaching you in law school, and you should be fine.
Now, in terms of advice and discussion on the chambers itself, in the chambers, can you describe the level of difficulty inherent in managing the chambers? So, how do you find the day-to-day management of chambers?
Okay, so the day-to-day management in the chambers for me, the most difficult part for me is sort of like balancing professional and my personal life, So when I had started with just working and client matters was always on my mind. So now that I have hired employees, I'm sort of more relaxed.
I know you were saying you hired you have hired employees now. Does that mean that someone else does the accounting? Is accounting potentially a problematic area, balancing the books, that kind of thing?
I still manage those stuff.
Okay.
Um, Basically, my employees is more focused on helping me with the legal as in relation. So for me, it's two things. It's kind of like I have two jobs. I'm a business owner as well as I'm an attorney. So that's kind of the difficult part, trying to balance both. You understand, being able to sustain and have your business up and running and functioning well, and you'll be able to deliver your legal services seamlessly to clients, as well as you have doing the back end stuff in the business. You understand? The financial part, whatever systems you're using. So that's kind of the difficulty. It's coming along well because we had sometimes during quarantine to you know, plan all of these stuff and try to make things easier. But yeah,
No, I could definitely imagine that because it's interesting that you pointed out that you technically have two jobs because you wear two different hats. So you're a business
yeah,
owner and you're an attorney. And first and foremost, your training is, specifically geared towards legal training. So,
exactly.
yeah,
Ex-
so you have to still try to find a way to balance both
Yeah,
because if one sinks, the other one is terribly affected. Now,
yeah.
yeah, I didn't. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
No, well, the thing is, right? A lot of attorneys that own their own firm or own their own chambers, they don't think of it as having their own business, but it's actually a business that you are running. So most people they might focus on just providing the legal services, making sure they're representing the clients well and stuff like that, but they totally forget about the business aspect of it, the different principles that you need to be applying when operating a business, providing a great client experience for your clients. You understand, delivering the work in a timely manner. You understand, customer service. When it is they call, when it is they call, and making sure that the phone is answered. That they are dealt with in a professional manner. Stuff like that, taking those things into consideration. Those Some of those stuff are neglected. You understand, because you are mainly focused on um, doing the legal aspect that is representing the clients, but they forget the little things at the back that is more in relation to.
True. Now, in terms of the transition, because I know we had transition from pre-COVID times to obviously with COVID times now. So, how did you find the business adjusted? How was it coping within the pandemic?
Okay. So it's coping really well. I think my business actually grew even more after the pandemic because I made certain adjustments in the way that I carry out my business. So I sort of had 2 months that I was home during the pandemic when we were in lockdown. I wasn't. Yes, I was working, but I was working from home, or I was more using that time now to focus on the business and the back end of the business. So I've incorporated a lot of technology now, seeing that everything has transitioned online. I've incorporated a lot of technology in the way that I deliver my legal services now. So it kind of more it's easier for the clients to get in touch with us, even like from intake. It will be much easier for them to, get in contact with us and to start their legal matter with us. So for me, the business has grew. Um, Even within the pandemic, during that time is when I actually launched the business online with its social media pages. So now we have a greater reach, and now there's a whole other aspect because you're sharing content on a whole. So it's kind of like an additional thing that we are doing.
That's
But
Yeah, sorry about that. I was saying that's good to hear. Because finding in these times you have to be adaptable and
yeah,
flexible. So
definitely.
yeah, so it's definitely good to hear. Now, what would you say, you've you've already highlighted for us quite a few experiences that you learned from throughout founding chambers, balancing between being a very good businesswoman and a very good attorney as well. Now, learning from these experiences, how would you advise others who would like to follow a similar path or follow in your footsteps in terms of founding their own chambers?
So one mantra that I have is that everything is figure out. Like you can figure it out as we go along because that's how basically I've done it. When a matter comes to my door, I do my research and I will let them know what hey, yes, this is something that I can definitely do. So it's just to start. The main thing is just to do it. You get started on it, and along the way you will learn everything that you know. I'm still learning. I'm sure every attorney out there, that been in practice years, they are still learning. There's things that will come to you that you don't know anything about, but you can figure it out. You can do research, you can ask someone to assist you, someone that's have lots of experience over you, they can probably guide you. But everything is figure outable, so that's the main thing for me.
No, it's true. We live in an era and in a time where we have a lot of different avenues to access information. So I mean that's very helpful. But the reason I asked for advice for some students is because even the whole notion of founding your own chambers, I can hear people on the road. Anyway, even the whole notion of founding your own chamber seems like such a daunting task and a daunting experience. And some people would think, well, I don't know if I have what it takes to do what you did. So that's why I think it's so important, and that you shared your experience and that you are basically saying there's access to information at your fingertips.
There's access, you have internet, you know.
Yeah.
um, I have received comments like that, like, I can't do that. Like, I've had a person that graduated with me that be like, you are so brave, like, I can't do that, I can't. And it's just like, you just have to, if it is something that you want, you just have to, like, a year from now, you'll be really glad that you started. You understand? So if it is that's something that you want to do, you just have to find the confidence in yourself to do it and do it.
Good, good. And Renee, it was such a pleasure having this discussion with you today. I think you're going to help many people, definitely those people who view and who have an interest in starting their own chambers. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for spending this time with us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
And all the best.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and to
No,
um,
no, it's always my pleasure. It was a really engaging and interesting discussion, and I definitely know it's going to help many people. I'll continue following your social media pages. Hopefully, I'll be able to track you down on Facebook. As a matter of fact, do you have any handles that people can find you on Instagram or Facebook?
okay, so is it my personal or my
On LinkedIn, whichever account that you post the information on, just general public knowledge on probates and family, that kind of thing, you can provide that handle.
so on LinkedIn, I'm Renea Aaron. On Facebook and Instagram, our business page is Millennial Chambers. So that's where
So
we
the,
are.
okay, so people should be able to find that information by just using the app Millennial Chambers. Okay, people, you've heard it straight from the source. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and I'll definitely see you on the next video.